Hello, fellow Siege enjoyers. I'm Ceymone, and I would like to welcome you to the next installment of my Everything Coming series. In this video, we're going to go over the new changes scheduled to arrive with Demon Vale, the first season of Year 7 in Rainbow Six Siege. This video is going to be long, but it is chaptered for easier viewing, and while there are visual aids, this video was designed to be consumable as an audio experience. This season is gearing up to be a massive game changer akin to the release of Mira, so let's get into it. As usual, this season will add a new operator to the game. Year 7 is kicking off with a brand new defender to the Siege lineup. It is my honor to introduce Azami, a Japanese operator with a trick up her sleeve. Azami has a fierce and sleek design, and her gadget will no doubt shake up the way the defense arranges their setup and handles the endgame. In terms of her biography, Kana Fujiwara hails from Kyoto, Japan, and is our second unaffiliated operator, second to Oryx. A highly skilled martial artist, both her lethality and fashion are cutting. As I said, Azami is on the defensive side, and she's a 2-speed, 2-armor operator. This puts her in the middle of the road in terms of speed and health, making her a flexible roamer or anchor. As far as primary weapon options, Azami has access to choose between the 9x9 VSN, which is Capcan's SMG, or the ACS-12, the slug shotgun currently in Alibi and Maestro's kits. Azami has a single secondary weapon option, but I'm sure few will be disappointed to hear that the Deagle, or the D50, has been granted to its 4th operator, behind Valkyrie, Blackbeard, and Nook. To finish out her loadout, Azami has the option to choose between impact grenades or barbed wire. Both of these options further aid in Azami's ability to control the flow of the map. Azami's gadget is known as the Kiba Barrier. The Kiba Barrier is a modified throwable kunai which will stick to surfaces and excrete a gas from their center which solidifies into a circular bulletproof barrier. She gets 5 of these kunai total. While she starts with 1 in prep phase, the other 4 charge up throughout the round at 30 seconds per kunai, similar to operators like Legion or Wamai. It takes about 2 to 3 seconds from point of impact to having a completed barrier. While the deployment is dynamic and the barrier will conform to objects around it, if the kunai is unable to deploy at all, you can pick it back up to redeploy it. The barrier can be used in countless ways to play with the geometry of a map. It can be used to fill in breaches or rotations. It can be used as an alternative to the deployable shield. It can be used to block or control sightlines, including creating safe areas out of dangerous ones, which can come in clutch. It can be used to block drone holes. It can be used to fortify parts of soft walls. It can be used to cover vertical angles, whether it be to prevent or delay a top-down peek, or to protect important gadgets from the likes of IQ or good droning. If the kunai is thrown at an attacker and it hits them, it is not lethal and will do the standard damage of a gadget hit, which is around 5 HP. It behaves the same as if you threw a flash grenade and it bounced off of a defender's head. Azami's gadget synergizes well with other defenders' gadgets and can be used in tandem to create harrowing situations for the attack to deal with. The Kiba Barrier can be used to effectively half-reinforce a wall to protect Mira from gunfire while keeping the top half of the wall soft for C4 tosses on walls that is typically not possible. The ability to use the Kiba Barrier as a shield alternative synergizes well with Capcan and Frost, who can use the barrier to hide their traps. The barrier can also be used to create surfaces to place gadgets like Goyo's canisters or Melusi's banshees. The barrier does not prevent Oryx from jumping up through a hatch, and he will break the barrier in the process. You cannot place a barrier directly on Castle's armor panels, but you can utilize the door frame to prevent drones from entering a site. In general, Azami's designated and intended role is for area denial to prevent the attack from moving freely. Her loadout and gadget also allows Azami to function well as a site architect, with access to impact grenades and a shotgun, as well as her environment-changing gadget. Since her gadget charges up over time and is more efficient when used internal to site, Azami is incentivized to stay alive as long as possible, and she can get a great deal of use out of her gadget as an anchor. While Azami's gadget is very powerful and game-changing, it is not without its counters. While it is impervious to bullets, the Kiba barrier is susceptible to any type of explosive damage, which includes grenades, the Gon 6, breach charges, and various operator gadgets such as Callie's lance, Ash's breaching rounds, Flores' explosive drones, and Zophia's impact grenades. The barrier can also be destroyed with 3 melee strikes and will visibly show its damage. If Azami has placed multiple barriers on each other, it will create one large barrier, which only needs the usual 3 melee strikes to break, rather than a multiple. For that reason, Azami should be creative with her placements as to maximize the annoyance on the attack side. The melee strikes can typically reach through most drone holes or floorboards, so while you do have to put yourself in an incredibly risky position to melee them, you are not without options if you need to save utility or are without it entirely. The barrier will also be destroyed if a soft surface upon which it was placed has been destroyed, including window barricades, hatches, and walls. Defenders cannot use the barrier to get into impossible places, as it will also break if someone manages to stand on top of it, similar to a past fix to a deployable shield exploit. This includes barriers on hatches, which can allow or force the attack to hot drop hatches of sorts, which could be a hindrance or a benefit. There are also some interactions with the barrier and some attackers' gadgets that are worth noting. It takes a single Hibana pellet to destroy the barrier. Zero's Argus camera can pierce both sides of a Kiba barrier. Maverick's torch breaks the barrier progressively, like the melee strikes, rather than creating holes. Amaru is not prevented from yeeting herself through a window or hatch that has a barrier on it. Any attacker can rappel in through the barricade as well. Ying can place a candela on the barrier and deploy it on the other side. Finally, Fuse can place his cluster charge on the barrier as well and deploy it to the other side. With all of that being said, Azami is a very interesting addition to the defensive lineup. Her gadget can be used as linearly or as creatively as the player can or wants. She can be particularly strong in the late game when the options of the attack are dwindling and they may be rushed. Blocking an avenue they were relying on, even for a short amount of time, can be the difference between a win and a loss. Azami does have to be careful with her gadget as it can break nearby friendly gadgets in its deployment. It can also impede your teammates, much like an unskilled castle's armor panel placements. Azami's ability to fundamentally change the layout of a site throughout her gadget and loadout puts her on par with operators like Mira, Castle, and Aruni. I had a great time playing with Azami in the test server, and I'm very excited for her to be introduced to the main game. In addition to a brand new operator, Demon Veil is bringing in some changes to our existing operators, including a rework and several smaller adjustments. Goyo is our reworked operator of the season. Since his design and release, Goyo was designed to be a smoke alternative with the ability to deny targeted areas with a highly lethal and potent area of effect gadget. However, Goyo was rarely picked for this intent, but rather for the deployable shield that came attached to his gadget. His presence and use in competitive play quickly spiraled out of control. In his rework, Goyo will be losing the 2 Vulcan shields and will be gaining 4 Vulcan canisters. The canisters do not include a shield and are protected on most sides by bulletproof metal. Thanks to their smaller size, the canisters can be placed in much more creative locations, including on walls or the floor. Both the AoE and duration of the flames have been doubled, allowing each canister to protect its area for 20 seconds, up from 10. With 4 canisters, this allows Goyo to protect an area for 1 minute and 20 seconds, which is nearly half of a ranked round. The canisters can be detonated with various options, but the easiest way is by shooting the red canister. The canisters can still be detonated with laser gadgets such as Maestro's Evil Eye or Twitch's Shock Drone, or with explosives. The canisters can also be detonated with a melee strike, although it's not recommended. The canisters will also be detonated if the surface upon which it is placed is destroyed. Although an exception to this rule seems to be the Kiba barrier. Upon detonation, the initial explosive damage of the canister has been greatly reduced, causing less damage to health and the environment. You can use this change to drop hatches with the canister, if you can outrun the flames that follow. These changes will hopefully bring Goyo back into a smoke alternative type role, and his ability to deny such large swaths of ground for such a long period of time will be very powerful. A change coming that will affect several defenders is a feature that was scheduled to come out in High Caliber but was delayed due to map limitations. This change is that cameras will disconnect outside after 10 seconds. This affects Valkyrie, Maestro, Mozzie, Echo, and any operator with a bulletproof camera. Mozzie and Echo both already lost connection to their drones when they went outside, but the timer has been increased to 10 seconds for consistency. The cameras will lose both visual and audio feedback after 10 seconds outside. The player does have the option to pick up their device and redeploy it, with the exception of Mozzie, who cannot pick up his drones. This change was largely directed at Valkyrie, whose ability to throw her small cameras outside into nearly impossible locations with perfect vantage points of the attacker's movements made her a popular ban choice, particularly on maps with high outside play like Clubhouse and Coastline. This is largely a nerf to the operator, however it will mean more cameras inside the map, which may not lessen her ban rate at the end of the day thanks to her incredible intel gathering abilities. Another change coming to cameras in Demon Vale will involve in-air access of cameras. Currently, when Valkyrie tosses a camera or Zero deploys one, if they go to their observation tools before that camera has stuck to a surface, the camera does not appear as an option. With this change, Valkyrie and Zero will be able to access the camera while it's in the air, but the video feed will not transmit until the camera attaches to a surface. This saves the operator's precious time in accessing their camera, and in Zero's case allows him to act that much quicker to utilize his Gadget's laser. Another operator getting a Gadget change this season is Melusi. Her Banshee will now open more quickly when activated, exposing its weak point earlier. The Banshee will also close quicker. The time for the Banshee to open and close has been decreased from 2 seconds to 0.75 seconds. Overall, this may be a nerf to Melusi as the Gadgets become vulnerable quicker, but I do think the change is more complicated than that. Callie's movement speed will no longer be penalized when she has her marksman rifle equipped. Finally, we have a couple changes to Thunderbird. First, Thunderbird's Kona station will only trigger to heal players who are below their max health. The station will, however, maintain its ability to overheal. This change will prevent the stations accidentally being used by site anchors prematurely, which oftentimes renders the stations useless for returning and hurting roamers when they need them. It will also help prevent the situation where a station accidentally gives away the position of a defender who didn't need the heal. The Siege team has also been working hard to improve the facial animation rigs, shaders, and meshes used on Thunderbird and Azami, which gives them both a more vibrant and lifelike appearance. Future operators will use this same technology. The last permanent game mode introduced to Siege was Unranked in Ember Rise. Demon Vale will be introducing the next permanent game mode, the likes of which hasn't been seen since the Sugar Fright event. Deathmatch is coming to Siege, and will offer a more casual gameplay experience, which will hopefully widen the game's reach and retention. For more veteran players, the mode will be a perfect environment to warm up and practice their aim before competitive matches. In the standard team of 5 players, each team gets a point when they eliminate an opponent. The team with the most points at the end of the 5-minute timer, or the first team to 75 points, will win. Players are eliminated if they spend more than 10 seconds outdoors. Join in progress is enabled and there are no abandon sanctions, allowing players to hop in and out at will. The in-game chat is disabled to prevent toxicity. Players can pick any operator they want, defender or attacker, regardless of side, with a few exceptions. Shield operators are not available in this mode, including Blitz, Montaigne, and Clash, and players cannot equip Fuse's ballistic shield. Multiple players can pick the same operator. Operator abilities and gadgets are not available, with the exception of Glaz's flip sight. Barricades, reinforcements, observation tools, drones, and repelling are also unavailable. All operators have the same secondary gadget options: frags, impacts, or stuns. Respawn is enabled, and a player can get back into the action quickly upon their death. Players can change their operator or loadout at any time during the match, and the changes will take effect upon their next respawn. Currently, Deathmatch takes place on Theme Park, Villa, and Favela, but more maps are scheduled to come in the future, along with improvements to spawn location. A new meta-changing feature coming to all game modes, including Quick Match, Unranked, Ranked, and the Pro League playlists, is the Attacker Repick. This is a feature that appeared in Year 6 test servers for early testing, and has finally been introduced in full. Attacker Repick gives the attack the option to change their operator and loadout during the preparation phase of any attacking round. This brings a new level of importance to the intel gathering that occurs during the preparation phase, where attackers use their drones to locate the site and defender picks. The attack will have the ability to adjust their strategy based on the information they gather during that phase. The match header for the attacking side has also been updated during the preparation phase so that you can easily see your team's loadout choices to make more informed decisions. In terms of Pro League, Attacker Repick will be replacing the reveal phase and the 6th pick. Attacker Repick will continue to be monitored, but so far data has shown that it has not skewed an advantage for the attack, and rather equalizes the fairness of a match. In my experience on the test server, I usually used Repick in the situation where I assumed the defense would start on one site, but instead they went to another. For example, Cafe has very different optimal lineups for attacking the top floor versus the kitchen site on the first floor. Before Attacker Repick, you had to guess which site the defense would go first, or constantly play middle-of-the-road operators to get the best of both worlds. I for one hope that this feature allows for more off-meta operator choices, rather than having to pick the same jack-of-all-trade operators over and over again. I also approve of any change that removes some of the RNG from Siege. As always, if you found this video helpful so far in understanding the many magnificent features coming in the new season, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel to see more Siege and Extraction content. Comment down below if you think the Deathmatch mode will bring in a wider audience for Siege, and let me know if it's going to be a main mode for you or just a warm-up. Demon Veil will also be introducing some various quality of life changes to the game. For starters, Demon Veil brings with it the universalization of weapon sights. Primary weapons and select secondary weapons have been given access to all non-magnifying sights, the Reflex, Holographic, and Red Dot. This includes all variants of those sights. I for one am a big fan of the Russian Red Dot, and am very pleased to be able to put that on any weapon. All instances of low Red Dot have been replaced with the high Red Dot to minimize vision obstruction. Tachanka's DP27's unique sight will remain unique to him, but he will have access to other sights. Weapons with access to the 2.5x scope or the original ACOG will now have access to both variants. To go along with this change, the sight section of the loadout menu has been updated for readability and accessibility, including separating the sights into two categories, magnifying and non-magnifying. Demon Veil is also bringing some updates to the Match Replay feature. Match Replay is finally coming out of PC beta to the console world. On console, you'll be able to save the last 2 hours of latest gameplay or up to 12 matches, whichever ends up being less burdensome to your system's memory. Replay controls have also been added as a controller layout for easier navigation. In general, match replays will now be valid throughout the entire season, rather than invalidating with each new patch. And finally, a free cam, or ghost cam, will be coming to the caster cam and replay, allowing the viewer to more freely watch the action without having to follow a particular player. At the start of Demon Veil, players will be required to link their phone number to their Ubisoft account in order to join ranked matches. This will hopefully slow cheater re-entry after being banned, and will curb smurfing. You can add your phone number in the account information section on Ubisoft Connect. A lot of people are on the fence about this change, and it is true that it won't stop all cheaters from re-entering the game thanks to spoofers, but it will create a barrier of entry that not all potential cheaters will be willing to circumvent. For those with multiple accounts, I'm of the belief that smurfing has a negative impact on the integrity of the ranking system, and I'm not opposed to it being restricted. The progress on privacy mode will reduce the compulsion of some content creators to have multiple accounts to dodge harassers as well, and I'm sure it's no coincidence that these features are coinciding. Griefing is always a big problem in Siege, particularly in Quick Match. Demon Veil will add a protection that will nullify harmful gadgets if the player who deployed them disconnects before the damage is dealt. This will prevent toxic players from exploiting disconnections to grief players and avoid sanctions. For example, in the current system, if I threw a grenade at my teammate and disconnected from the game before it went off, that grenade would still kill my teammate and I would not be punished for it. In the new system, the grenade will not do any damage once I've disconnected. It would be as if I threw a dud. In the past, there's been some situations where the precise nature of the last few seconds of the round has resulted in some unexpected behavior, such as players being able to plant when the timer was technically on 0 seconds. In Demon Veil, the last 10 seconds of the action phase will be displayed in milliseconds. The melee animation when stabbing at an operator or air has been updated from a slash motion to a stab motion. This animation better matches the in-game hit detection, creating a more consistent user experience. When spectating a player, the portrait card has been updated. A status for the gadget or ability of the operator has been added so you can see how many smoke canisters your smoke has, and so on. KDA has been removed to reduce bias and toxicity so you can focus on the moment. Since the release of Elite customization, players realize they cannot equip the special gadget skin that comes with most elites, such as Frost's spiky bear traps or Twitch's camouflage shock drone. In Demon Veil, players will finally be able to choose between different ability skins, so long as they are owned and belong to that operator. Backed by popular demand is the Year Pass, which essentially gives you discounted access to all 4 seasons' battle passes in a single payment rather than making 4 separate purchases throughout the year. The Year Pass will be available for purchase until March 21st, so make your decision quickly. The regular pass is around $30 USD. For this price, you get 14-day early access to each season's new operator for a total of 4 operators throughout the year. This means when the season releases, the operator will immediately unlock for you, and only pass owners will have access to the operator for 2 weeks, after which the operator can be unlocked with Renown. The Year Pass will unlock the premium track of the Battle Pass for every Year 7 season Battle Pass. The regular pass also comes with the Ash Chilled bundle. You will also get a 30% bonus to battle points earned while playing the game, not including the points earned for completing challenges or achievements. For $60 USD, you can purchase the Premium Year Pass, which includes everything in the regular pass and a few extra goodies. For each battle pass, you will immediately unlock the first 20 tiers. You'll also gain access to the Valkyrie Bite set and an exclusive exotic weapon skin for the MPX. At the end of the day, if you are planning on buying all 4 regular battle passes throughout the year, buying the Year Pass now will be convenient and save you roughly $10. The Battle Pass has some small quality of life improvements coming in Demon Veil. The first of which is persistent challenges. Rather than challenges changing and expiring on a bi-weekly basis, challenges will continue to unlock along that time frame, but they will not expire. This will allow players to finish them at their own pace until the end of the season. This is particularly helpful with the more difficult challenges. On that note, the Battle Pass will now run until the very end of its respective season, rather than ending a few weeks before the end. This will give players more time to complete the pass and also give a good idea on the release timeline for new seasons. Finally, the Battle Pass will be introducing Bravo packs, which will contain premium, curated packs with no duplicates. Beginning with the Demon Veil test server, players will be incentivized with rewards to report bugs through the R6Fix website. To qualify for a reward, you will only need to report an issue during the season, test server, or live, and have its status reach under investigation, which means it was confirmed as a valid bug. You can receive 1 reward set per season, which will be determined by the highest severity bug of all the bugs you reported that reached the necessary status. These rewards will be some number of rare, epic, and legendary alpha packs. For a cosmetic bug, you will receive 1 of each, for a total of 3. For a playable bug, you will receive 2 of each, for a total of 6. For a hardly playable bug, you will receive 3 of each, for a total of 9. And for a critical bug, you will receive a whopping 4 of each, for a total of 12. Each season's reward will be determined and granted during the following season's test server. Some features coming in Demon Veil are scheduled to come out during the season, but not at launch. The last time a new permanent map was added to Siege was during my first full season playing, Burn Horizon, which introduced Outback to the game. In the mid-season of Demon Veil, we will finally be getting an entirely new competitive map to learn and strategize for. Located in Ireland, the Emerald Plains is a cross between a castle and a high-end country club, and is intended to enter the ranked pool. I'm sure we're all in agreement that a new map was long awaited and very welcome. On PC, we have the ability to adjust our field of view to widen or narrow our peripheral vision in the game. Console has never had this ability and was forced to use the default value. Demon Veil hopes to introduce a slider for consoles given the advancements of next-gen consoles. The team is also testing the feature for functionality with previous gen consoles, but worst case scenario, some consoles will just need to stick with the default if they can't handle it, just like with PC. Formerly known as Streamer Mode, the ability to appear as nicknames or to hide the names of the players in your lobby was recently test ran with a select group of content creators and streamers. This feature is intended to roll out to a grander audience during Demon Vale. Year 6 was Ubisoft's first year working entirely from home, and they were finally able to reach their cadence to start Year 7 running. Year 7 will see impactful features and new content with a focus on anti-cheat and player protections. Some events will be returning, and they plan on having more frequent arcade modes with greater variety. The Siege narrative is also shifting away from the focus on SI and the simulation, and towards operator interactions and an arc of storytelling. Like we saw with the Sisters and ARMS cinematic this year, there will be smaller squads with specialized purposes, such as Caveira's team, whose focus is on stealth operations. The roadmap, as usual, is an intended course of action, but can change throughout the year depending on priorities and development progress. As we've seen, Season 1 introduced a defender from Japan, attacker repick, deathmatch, and updates to privacy mode, griefing, and match replay. Season 2 will introduce an operator from Belgium, a new deathmatch map, improvements to match cancellation, Stage 1 of the reputation system, and new content including a shooting range and operator tips. Stage 1 of the reputation system is slated to include early reverse friendly fire sanctions for players who can't seem to keep their hands to themselves where their team is concerned. Season 3 will introduce an operator from Singapore, a new competitive map, the ability to report players from the match replay, Stage 2 of the reputation system, and a rework to ranked. Stage 2 of the reputation system is scheduled to include a beta of the reputation score display, as well as early restrictions on voice and chat for abusers of those features. Ranked 2.0 will be a complete overhaul of the competitive game mode. The current ranked system attempts to guess your rank as soon as possible by wildly swinging your MMR. The reworked system will change it to a progression where you start at the bottom and work your way up. There will be ranked rewards at each new rank to incentivize improvement, and you will gain the rewards of all previous ranks. In doing so, the Copper Charm will no longer be as rare as the Diamond Charm. All ranks will also be spaced 100 points apart, so presumably more ranks will be added to fill in the gaps. Season 4 will introduce an operator from Colombia, the full reputation system, and a permanent arcade playlist. The plans for this season are expectedly sparse, as it is unclear what priorities or delays may pop up throughout the year that could affect the milestones for the previous seasons. The team also enlightened us on some balancing ideas that may be coming for some operators in the future. For example, Zero's cam may no longer auto-drill, allowing him to have more control over his gadget. Bandit may soon be able to place multiple batteries on a single wall, which would be a huge buff to bandit tricking against EMPs, as he could juggle EMP'd and live batteries. Dokkaebi may one day affect dead players, perhaps by preventing or delaying their access to cameras while spectating. And a big balance they're thinking of is for Thatcher, given his supremely high ban rate. They're looking into ways to increase his skill gap, such as by forcing him to cook his EMP to increase its AoE. They're also working on a new generic gadget that is a small EMP grenade as a Thatcher alternative. In general, the balancing team remains adamant that they want to reduce operators who are good at everything, such as they did with Mute, which should foster a greater need for coordination and communication. All in all, Year 7 looks full of major additions to the game, and I'm very glad to see new maps coming back into their development cycle. The reputation system and shooting range are two features I'm very much looking forward to, and while I don't initially feel confident in starting in Copper one day, I do think that rank needs a rework, and I'm looking forward to hearing more as Season 3 draws closer. The Ubisoft team described Demon Vale as a season of game changers, and after poring through the changes detailed here, I'm inclined to agree with them. Between attacker repick and the introduction of Azami, I firmly believe the flow of matches will change significantly in the new season. As always, if this video was helpful to you, please consider liking it and comment down below what you're looking forward to most. If you like Siege content, consider subscribing to my channel. Demon Vale will release soon, but at the time of recording, it has not officially been announced. If I had to guess, it will release on March 8th or March 15th. I'll update the description with any updates to the release. Thank you for watching.